guys, Winner Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be bringing you an update to my Photon Galaxy deck here for July 2021. Now, as I'm filming this, I'm just finishing up the editing for the final episode of One Deck One Month, which will still be going up on Friday. And don't worry, I won't be spoiling anything from that episode in this particular video. I was planning on uploading this after that video went up, but due to a change in my content schedule, I have to upload it a little bit earlier, but I don't think you guys will really mind that. So regardless, I am very excited to share with you guys this list. It has evolved so much from the beginning of this month, and I am extremely happy with it. It does exactly what I wanted to do, and it does it pretty consistently as well. Now, is there still room for improvement? Absolutely. The deck still needs a lot of support. It still has quite a few issues, if I'm being totally honest. And again, I think the only way it could really be fixed is by, new and better support for the deck. Hyper Galaxy was great, but I don't think it's actually what we were looking for in terms of actually fixing this deck's core problems. And I can feel pretty confident in saying that this is probably the best pure Photon Galaxy list that you'll be able to find on YouTube. I'm 100% confident in saying that's got my seal of approval, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys to my full main, extra, and side deck today. And before we get into the video, I want to mention a quick shout out to Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in picking up any amazing playmats, deck boxes, dice, sleeves, binders, backpacks, etc., or hats like this one I'm wearing here, check them out at the link below. And don't forget to use my discount code WinnerKill off at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, maybe a Photon Galaxy deck for yourself, please don't forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description below of all my videos. You guys shop and check out using that link. A small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back in the channel, and it helps out a ton. And yeah, if you're interested in early videos and other behind-the-scenes content, consider becoming a member of the channel today as well. With all that out of the way, let's get into the profile. Alright, so let's go ahead and go through the deck list one more time, but a lot slower and in a lot more detail. So to start, we have 3 copies of Galaxy Wizard. Now, Galaxy Wizard, for those that have been watching my channel for a long time and have watched me play this deck for quite some time, you'll know that I've never really been super fond of this card, at least until now anyways. My builds used to be very Galaxy Knight focused, but I've decided to make a switch in the past couple months, and the main reason is that Galaxy Wizard is just a much more versatile normal summon than Knight is. Now, does that mean Knight shouldn't be played? Not exactly. I still think Knight belongs in the deck as a one-of, and we'll talk more about that later. But Galaxy Wizard allows you to combo with so many more cards, and it can also get you more cards to begin with. And I find a lot of times it can actually end up baiting hand traps, especially when paired with a card like Expedition. And I've also come to learn that Wizard plus Expedition I think is single-handedly the best 2-card combo this deck has. So playing 3 Wizard makes, a lot of sense from that standpoint. Yeah, it's just a very, very solid card. The level manipulation is great, and the Search effect is really good too. And not to mention, neither of the effects are once per turn. So if you open up Wizard with Monster Reborn, you can Wizard Search, get a card, and then Reborn them back, Wizard Search, get another copy of any Galaxy card. The only thing that would make this card better if it searched any Photon or Galaxy card, then it would be absolutely cracked. But yeah, so 3 Wizard, 100%. We're going to go through all the Galaxy cards first, by the way. And then we have next, obviously, 3 Galaxy Soldier. This card I don't use for rank 5s, as you saw by the extra deck. I'm not actually playing any rank 5s, and I'll explain why in a moment. But Soldier is great. I think one of the best things about Soldier is the graveyard setup that it offers. It can dump Cloud Dragon, and it can also dump Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon to the grave to set up plays with Knight or Galaxy Trance, whatever it may be. So The graveyard setup is good, and not to mention too, if you build your board using the best line, a lot of times the card that you discard off this, you can get back off of your Soul Flare, and then continue to extend with said card. So let's say you need to get rid of a Vanisher early on, or an Afterglow, you know, if you play properly, you can get that Vanisher or Afterglow back after you've comboed a little bit, and then still use those cards to extend. So sometimes you're using this as setup immediately for a card like Knight, or sometimes you're using it as a setup to, you know, be able to grab cards back later. Also, just, you know, being able to search any Galaxy card like Wizard, Afterglow, Knight, Brave, Cloud Dragon, all of those cards are very, very good cards to be able to search at any given point. So 3 Soldier, and also I guess the main reason why I'm not playing any rank 5s is in order to consistently get a rank 5 on board, it means you're resolving 2 of these, which means you're using 4 cards out of your hand, which is already a no-go for a deck like this. Or the other way around is you're using Soldier, getting a search, and then wasting an Expedition to summon another Soldier out of the deck, when you could summon an Afterglow or a Galaxy Eyes to make an Afterglow live. And then once you summon the Soldier, you're not really getting anything out of it, and all you're establishing is 1 interruption. And I find oftentimes it's a waste of a Galaxy or Galaxy Expedition. But, you know, just summoning 2 of these just for the sake of a rank 5 interruption oftentimes is just not worth it, because the card you're going to summon is going to be very easily outed, and doesn't really get you any resources in the process like number 90 does. So and yeah, basically for those that don't know, this is number 90 Turbo basically. Then we have 2 copies of Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. I think the best extender to grace this deck, since Galaxy Soldier, to be totally honest, or maybe Photon Orbital. But Afterglow is incredible. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then if it is detached from an Xyz monster, to activate that monster's effect, you can special summon 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand or deck, and either, you know, special summon it, or you can attach it to an Xyz monster you control, and then if it was activated during the battle phase, you can double the attack of all number Xyz monsters you control. And that's really cool too, because you can go into number 62 and detach the Afterglow from it, and so long as you have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as a material, so it still deals full damage, you can attack in. And even if they have something like Chalice or Imperm, you know, it's stopping the number 62 effect, but it's not stopping the Afterglow effect, which is still going to double it to 8,000 or 8,800. So yeah, really, really strong card overall. And fantastic extender, really easy to get on board. Cloud Dragon can also revive it too. And this card also allows for really good extension. You know, you can go into Felgrand, detach turn 1, summon out a Galaxy Eyes from deck, make another rank 8, or you can use Elsay, same thing, detach, you know, spin a card back, and then continue to extend and make another rank 8 on top of that. And as we mentioned already, the OTK factor that card allows for, giving us a really good way to close out game. And like 100% of the time, it's usually going to be game if you get to 62 with Afterglow in an open board. Now we have Galaxy Knight, the one of Galaxy Knight that I think is absolutely mandatory. I know there was a build, I think maybe a month or so back, where I wasn't playing Knight, but I realized, like, you know, Knight is such a powerful card. Like, it shouldn't be overlooked, especially in a deck that's like number 90 Turbo. You know, you sit on your number 90 with hand traps or real traps. You know, that's something I was also going to try, but never really got around to it. But Galaxy Knight, you know, just normal summon it while you control a Photon or Galaxy monster without tributing, and then it revives Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the grave. So it's essentially a 1-card rank 8. Obviously, it does take quite a bit of setup, so that's why I dropped it from the 3 I used to play it at down to the 1, because I only ever really want to search this card. I don't ever really want to draw it, although there are some situations where drawing Galaxy Knight does come in absolutely clutch. But again, back to what I was saying with the number 90 Turbo. Number 90 can search you a card during your opponent's turn, which gives you the chance to, like, search your absolute best follow-up. And sometimes Knight or Galaxy Trance is the card to do it. And sometimes, like, getting access to these cards very early or quick like that can be a blowout, because you just get such easy access to powerful rank 8s like Felgrant, Elsay, number 90, Cypher Dragon, you name it, or number 38 even. Like, it's just a very good, powerful follow-up card that the deck definitely needs. Yes, it can be inconsistent, but it's kind of a necessary evil in the deck. And speaking of necessary evil, we have Galaxy Brave. This card I would always recommend as a one-of. I don't think, you know, now looking back after, you know, the 1 month of playing this deck at locals, yeah, I would never play this card more than one, unless I, like, severely altered the deck and played a lot more Photon monsters. Like, you know, more Vanisher, more Thrasher, maybe even Advancer. then maybe I would consider it. But this card is a really good card to have in the deck, as like a mandatory one of, because there are going to be times that you'll notice, and I've noticed it countless times, where you're resolving Soldier and you need an actual extender. Because you could maybe grab Afterglow, but the Afterglow in that current situation isn't going to be live, or you just need any extender, right? That is an Afterglow, because like Soldier can really only search without Brave like one extender if you've already used your normal summon, and that's Afterglow. But Brave is another card that falls under that category because you can just reveal any Photon in hand, assuming you have one, summon to the board, and then it can make Vanisher and Orbital live. And if it hits the board as a level 8, it can also make your Expedition live, which is really important too, which means, you can get to a Soldier if you haven't used it already to get a Search, or you can get another rank 8 out of the deck to grab, or to go into number 90. So I find Brave kind of like a mandatory one of, just because it's going to be that, weird one-off search that you'll need to go to every now and then. And then there also are some hands where drawing this is going to be really nice too, because it can act as a pseudo starter as well if you open it with Vanisher or Orbital, or even Rhoda too, I guess, by revealing the Vanisher, summoning as level 4, then summoning the Vanisher, adding Galaxy Eyes, going for Blast Dragon, and continuing to combo from there. So yeah, one Galaxy Brave. And then next up we have one copy of Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon. This is a new addition to the deck. I don't think I've ever played this card in this deck, and if I did, I played it many years ago, like around 2015, like right when this card came out. But for those that don't know what this card does, it simply states that you contribute this card as cost to special summon one Galaxy Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard except itself. You can only use each effect of Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon once per turn. Then it says if this card is in the graveyard, you can target one Galaxy Eyes Exceeds monster you control, attach this card to it as an Exceeds material. You can only use this effect of Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon once per duel. Yeah, they decided to make that one a once per duel. But Wizard is, you can use as many times as you want. But yeah, either way, Cloud Dragon, I found, again, is another really nice follow-up card. That's why I have, like, Wizard and Brave kind of, like, clumped together. I guess more so it'd be along the lines of, like, how it's similar to Knight, I guess, than Brave. Yes, it is a normal summon, but I have considered playing 1-for-1 for this card because, there are some hands where if I had a 1-for-1 and access to this, it would just make for a much better board. But then again, we're not trying to make super big combos. We're trying to make the bare minimum number 90. Maybe another rank 8 on top of that if we open really well. But we're trying to stay consistent with just the number 90 and pass, and making sure we have interruptions in our hand in the form of hand traps. And importantly, more importantly than anything else, making sure we have a follow-up and a way to recover, because this deck lacks recovery. If there's anything you want to take away from this video, it is that statement alone. This deck lacks a lot of recovery, and Cloud Dragon is a card that helps to fix that. Whereas a card like Knight, if your board is cleared, your number 90 or whatever it may be, if that gets cleared, the Knight in hand is going to be completely dead unless you have, a card like Galaxy Soldier to get on the field, or some other non-normal summonable extender like Thrasher. But Cloud Dragon is that normal summon that can grab a card like Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord out of the grave, because it is a Galaxy Eyes monster at the end of the day. And then you can use its other effect immediately after that to attach it to number 90, giving it back a monster negate. So I found this card to come in clutch in more ways than one. And one specific example too is drawing this card with, per se, like Expedition and Galaxy Eyes in hand, or with an Afterglow in hand, or with an Afterglow in grave already. You can just normal summon this card, tribute it off, get a Galaxy Eyes out of your hand, and it makes an Afterglow or an Expedition live, and makes your turns much easier. I guess in that case, it could kind of act as like a pseudo Galaxy Wizard in some instances, but this card does come in clutch. I don't think I would play it at more than one. The only reason I would play a 1-for-1 is to be able to get access to this card without burning my normal summon. That's the only reason. So yeah, the one Cloud Dragon has come in clutch. Main reason is just for recovery. The 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Gotta flex the alties real quick. They're filthy on limbs, so feel free to avert your eyes, but they still look gorgeous. First edition stamp or not. And we're trying to ball on a budget here, if you know what I mean. But yeah, engine requirement for the deck, you have to play 3. You just can't really play the deck with any less than 3 copies, because you will run out of gas very quickly. Then we have 3 Photon Orbital. I think the most versatile searcher in the deck, being able to search both Photon or Galaxy monsters. The only thing that sucks about this is that it's not searchable. It used to be searchable via Union Carrier, but we all know what happened to that card. And hence why I'm not playing Photon Sanctuary anymore. I found Photon Sanctuary just to be a very lackluster card, and if you didn't have the proper cards in hand to pair with it, it really just did nothing. It made a Soul Flare, and that was about it. And if you're making a Soul Flare with no cards engraved, it really just doesn't do anything. It might as well just be a token for your opponent to run over with little to no ease next turn. But Orbital is great. It's still a mandatory card you have to play, because it's one of those things like if you draw it, and it makes your hand way better, and if you don't, whatever. Maybe you can search it off of your number 90. And not to mention, the 500 attack boost that it offers is huge, because you can pair it with Blast Dragon to make it so Blast Dragon can also not be targeted or destroyed by card effects alongside your other monsters that you may have. And also, one important ruling thing to note, is that for those that don't know, because I didn't know for a little while, is that when you equip Orbital to a monster and you're using its effect while it's equipped to send to the grave as cost to search, your opponent cannot actually hit this with a Call by the Grave, because it is treated as a spell effect because it was an equip card, and the monsters that are equipped to other monsters are treated as equipped spells. And that is the reason why it cannot get hit with Called by the Grave. I think in one of the episodes, episode 3 of One Deck One Month, I let this get called by, and you know, legally it should not have happened, but I didn't catch it, even though I remember hearing something about it prior. I just kind of forgot about it, so don't forget about it yourself. Yeah, 3 Orbital, you gotta play it. Next up, we have 2 Photon Vanisher. I used to play this card at 3, but the main focus with this deck was not only, you know, go to number 90 all the time, but it was to get to number 90 consistently, because if you can't get to number 90 consistently, then, like, what's the point, right? So Vanisher is one of those cards that can brick, but it is a really good card to be able to see nonetheless, and we're technically playing 3 copies if you count Rhoda. But, like, again, this card does nothing on its own. It requires other cards to be good. It requires a card like a Brave. It requires a Thrasher. It requires cards to already be in play, or you to have already committed your normal summon of, let's say, Wizard, Orbital if you have to, or Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon, right? It just takes resources. So I did not want to commit to this card as a 3-of, because I truly don't think it actually should be a 3-of. Again, unless your build is just like set to turbo out other cards. Like if you're playing multiple Thrasher, if you're playing multiple Photon Sanctuary, and multiple Brave, maybe this card belongs at a higher number than 3, but I think for my particular build, 2 is at the sort of a sweet spot. And then the 1 Thrasher, I think this is also a mandatory 1-of in the deck, because Rhoda is such a powerful card to be able to play, to be able to grab both Vanisher and Thrasher, and sometimes just being able to start your turn with Thrasher makes comboing just so much easier. By getting that level 4 body on field, that level 4 name of a Photon monster, just makes comboing just, again, so much easier, and it takes pretty much little to no effort to get on the board. Then next we have 3 Ash Blossom, just very generic cover-all hand trap, so that's mainly why I play it. Then I play 3 Effect Veiler, not only because of the synergy of it being light, so if you need to, you can discard it off your Galaxy Soldier, but I find this card to be very good against decks like Drytron, and also very good against decks like Tri-Brigade more specifically. A lot of that targeted monster negation is really good, not only you know, for decks like Prankus and Tri-Brigade, but also good for, you know, decks that like to try and chain block. Obviously, Valor and Imperm do not care about chain blocks, and I don't believe Valor is a once per turn either, so yeah, during your opponent's main phase, you can use this as many times as possible. Yes, it can be played around by doing things in the standby phase or in the battle phase, but regardless, this card is still really good, and I think definitely worth playing, especially when we look at the alternatives currently this format. Then for the spells, the first spell we have here is 3 Pot of Prosperity. I know the budget players might not be too happy to see this, and this card I did shell out to play in this deck, because I said to myself, I'm going to play Photon competitively, I need this card, because it's just so damn good. There's really no other way to put it. Yes, there are budget alternatives, though. Pot of Desires and Trade-In alike are great alternatives. I played this deck with multiple Desires and multiple Trade-Ins for many months and years even, and it worked really good. So that is a great option, but again, you do have to alter your deck building quite a bit to play a card like Trade-In and a card like Desires. You need more level 8s, more 3-ofs, etc. But Prosperity is that sort of perfect workaround. There's always going to be 3 cards in the extra deck that you're going to be able to get rid of. I always go for 3. I very often go for, or very seldom go for, banishing 6 unless my hand just absolutely needs 1 card to be able to play. But then you can also look at this card and the fact that you're not always using it to get the cards you need to extend. or, you know, start your turn, but sometimes you're using this after you've already comboed to be able to go ahead and try to see more hand traps or more potential interruptions for your already established board. So that card is very, very helpful in that aspect too. And yes, it does have your battle damage, but you know, we're primarily going first deck. Yes, we can OTK, and sometimes you can even OTK through that half battle damage, you know, restriction. So it's not always a problem for this deck. Then next we have, I think, single-handedly one of the best extenders in the deck, which is Galaxy Expedition. We play a lot of level 5 or higher monsters with very, very easy ways to get them out onto the field, Galaxy Wizard being a perfect example. And this can just get other monsters out of the deck that otherwise we really wouldn't have a way to do it. So just always being able to see this card as soon as possible is just second to none, especially when you pair it with a card like Wizard that can manipulate its own levels. You can get Soldier out of the deck, which grants you a Search, which grants you another Extender, which gives you more combo lines to take. Yeah, Expedition is just a crazy card, and I definitely think if there was one potentially bricky spell in here that I was going to play at 3, it was going to be Expedition, hands down. Then we have one, a Cell Light. This card is not mandatory, but I really do like it in theory. If you control no monster, especially summon a level 4 or lower Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck, you can only activate 1 per turn, and you cannot normal summon / set during the turn you activate this card. That seems like a very hefty restriction, and because it is, but it's basically your 4th copy of Wizard. And that is huge because Wizard, again, is such an important starter for the deck. It's very much based around that. That's the card you pretty much always want to normal summon at least turn 1, and being able to play a 4th copy, and then you add in the prosperities. You know, it becomes very consistent to get to that Wizard. And yes, that if this card gets ashed, it hurts quite a bit. But you know, it is what it is. If they have the ash for it, they have the ash for it. And the only reason I'm playing one is because it is a hard once per turn, and it can brick, and it is dead late game as well. So drawing multiples of these is a no-go. This deck already kind of eats through a lot of card advantage very easily, so a lot of times you can't afford to be opening multiples of a card like this, or this card paired with Wizard. So that's why I only wanted to play one. And then we have one Called By, just for, you know, resilience to hand traps, one Monster Reborn, for easy extension, kind of a sack factor as well, and then one Reinforcement of the Army, 3 very generic one-of spells that we can all utilize to a T in this deck. Then we have, last but not least, one Galaxy Trance. So this card is very similar in theory to the reason like why I play the one of Night and the one of Cloud Dragon. It's recovery. It's kind of a bomb card, if you will. This is a card a lot of times your opponent is going to feel as though they have to negate, because it starts with pay 2,000 life points. And then target a Photon monster in your grave, special summon both it and a Galaxy monster from your deck with the same level, both in defense, and if you do, each monster's attack becomes 2,000, also their effects are negated. And then importantly, you cannot normal summon or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card, except Photon and Galaxy monsters. So if this card gets belled, if it gets ashed, it's going to hurt quite a bit, but again, they a lot of times will feel like they have to negate this, which allows a lot of your other plays to go through. But again, it's a card you can easily search off number 90 and use to apply a lot of pressure next turn, giving that important follow-up, going for a number 62 and trying to just push for a game through whatever they may have. So yeah, Galaxy Trance, you gotta love it. And then the last 3 cards in the deck is 3 Impermanents. I wanted to fit as many hand traps in here as I possibly could, and right now we are on 9 with room to side up to 12 by siding out cards like Monster Reborn, an Expedition, and one other card that I can't think of at the moment, maybe an Orbital. So yeah, you do have room to side into possibly 12 hand traps, and obviously we do have quite a bit of different hand traps in the side deck, so we can even side out the 9 that are in here right now for the other 9 that are in the side deck. But again, I wanted to play 9, and wanted to play as many as possible, because just the 3 gamma was, you know, quite frankly, not enough for today's day and age, and not only for today's day and age, but for just a deck like this that's like 7 or 8 years old. I think the math checks out to be 9 hand traps can kind of consistently give you 1 hand trap per hand, but you know, we do have Prosperity in the deck, so I feel like that kind of increases those odds just by a little bit. And there's been times where, like, I'll get to number 90 and I'll Prosperity afterwards to protect from Ash, then use that to grab another hand trap with the hand traps that I may already have in hand. So yeah, 3 Imperm, great going first or second, and you know, the targeting is great to stop chain blocking. So now, also, and Imperm is great just going into already established boards and stopping Appaloozas too, which is huge, especially against Tri-Brigade. Now we'll go into the extra deck. And I know a lot of people are going to ask right away where I got these gorgeous sleeves from. And I'm glad you asked. They're from Imperium Duelist. The Trish sleeves I got off eBay. They're a Konami brand from the OCG. You'll just have to search them up on eBay because I get a ton of questions about my extra deck sleeves. But I love the new Imperium design. Shoutouts to them for getting this great design. But yeah, 2 Soul Flare Dragon. It's your go-to link. It's the only link that I play. If you saw the quick deck profile and are still sticking around, which I appreciate if you are. But yeah, it's good recursion. It's a decent interruption. If you're not using this card to interrupt your opponent with just a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then you're using it incorrectly, because the only time you should ever discard 2 off this card is if you're in absolute desperation mode, or if you just sequence your plays incorrectly, because you always want to make sure you have a Galaxy Eyes in hand if you are summoning this card. Obviously, there are a few exceptions. If you genuinely need an extender back from the grave, that's an exception. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Because if you're discarding more than just a Galaxy Eyes, like you're messing up. You're just going 2- on card advantage just for 1 pop. And you also, kind of word of advice, you don't want to use your number 90 to go ahead and search your Galaxy Eyes off this, or to be able to use this. Because again, unless you absolutely need that 1 interruption, then do it. But like, you want to save your number 90 search for more important follow-ups instead of just grabbing a Galaxy Eyes. And obviously the rest of our extra deck is Xyz monsters, so we'll go through that next. First up, we actually have not 1 but 2 copies of Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. This is like my most recent change I made to the deck. I was playing a Pleiades, and I decided to drop it for a second Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. And obviously not playing a rank 5 for reasons I mentioned earlier, but Blast Dragon is a card that I've found myself to be able to go into at least more than once a game consistently, and also because of Galaxy Trance. A lot of times I find Galaxy Trance is made dead not because I don't have Photons engraved, but it's because I don't have the desired Photon monster engraved. Or if I do have a level 4 at that point, I've already burned through 1 Blast Dragon. And Blast Dragon is like a really solid card. If you can put this card up, a lot of decks are going to try to find the quickest way they can to get rid of this card, because it makes your board very hard to deal with. Protection from targeting and destruction by card effect is really good. Basically turns all your monsters into a quasi Dragoon, if you will. It's just really good. And not to mention the extension it offers during the opponent's turn is really good. So 2 of those, and then the Spice, 1 Elsei, the Sylvan High Protector. Just a generic rank 8. The main reason I play this is to get around there can be only 1, because it is a plant and not a warrior or a dragon. And it's also just, good removal, and it can help you extend with Afterglow just because it can just detach, going into an already established board. But for those that don't know what it does, declare a card name, activate the top card of your deck, and if it is the declared card, add it to your hand, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Now, there have been some instances where I'll just, call, a bluff card, like Slifer the Sky Dragon, because I know it's not in my deck, or I'll call a card like Galaxy Trance, because if I hit a Galaxy Trance, I don't care if I'm not spinning the card, I just got a Galaxy Trance to my hand. So you got to know when to to bluff on it or actually try to get a card you need. But then, if a card is sent to the graveyard from the deck by a card effect, you can attach a material from this card, then target a card on the field. Place that target either in the top or bottom of the deck. You can only use this effect of Elsei the Sylvan High Protector once per turn. So yeah, great removal, and plays around there can be only 1. Foulgran, a great turn 1 extender, and also just a great card in general. Just a quick effect negate, and also can make any card it targets unaffected by card effects, which is also really strong. There was also that new Heradic rank 8, which I was thinking about playing as well. Then we had 1 number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, mainly just for the OTK with Afterglow. Then we have not 1 but 2 copies of number 90. And the reason I think this is necessary is because this is number 90 Turbo. If your number 90 gets stopped, if it gets broken, you don't have access to Cloud Dragon, being able to make a second copy is really strong. It's not mandatory to play 2. You could play like a Tachyon Dragon, or you could play the Heradic Sky Dragon, whatever you want to do, but I think having 2 number 90 is great. This card's just so good for this deck. You definitely want to play Protect the Castle with him. Then 1 number 38, this card I actually make, I think, the least out of every card in the extra deck, just because, there's not a lot of decks you end up playing against where negating a spell is really strong. The only example would be a deck like Sky Striker, and I don't play a lot of those in my area. And then we have the whole Cypher package, which has now gotten a little bigger. One Cypher Dragon, one Cypher X Dragon, and the Cypher Blade Dragon. So I'm playing the Cypher X now because it is a good turn 1 alternative to be able to detach your Afterglow, and you can also do it under the Galaxy Trance because you're summoning a Galaxy monster, whereas if you go Felgrand you can't because it's not a Galaxy monster. And then Cypher Dragon into Cypher X into Cypher Blade. Good removal. Same thing with the full armor, but a lot of times I'm not using these cards to like for their main effects. I mean, sometimes turn 1 I make the Cypher X Dragon to protect my number 90 from impermanence and other card effects that target. But a lot of times I'm using it to get to a 6 material Zeus because you go Cypher, Cypher X, and then full armor, and then you have the 2 materials underneath it, and then hopefully you have a Cloud Dragon to attach to it as well, giving you the 6 materials needed for a Zeus, the Divine Arsenal Sky Thunder. And then the Cypher Blade is just kind of like another card that is kind of mandatory. Pop any card on the field regardless of position is really strong. The only thing that sucks about it is it can't be used as Ixie's material. But it's never really a big issue. Like turn 1, you can make Cypher X, put the Cypher Dragon in the grave, and then during the standby phase use its other effect to slap it on top of it. And then you could put the Cypher Blade on top of that to clear another card, and then if they clear the Cypher Blade, you get Cypher Dragon back in the field, etc., etc. So those are the other Ixie's monsters. Now the side deck really quickly, as the side deck doesn't matter a whole lot. It's really more dependent on what you find yourself playing against the most. We have 3 Nibiru for combo, and then we have 3 Ghost Bell for Tri-Brigade, Prank Kids, and also even Drytron too. And Virtual World, this card stops the Lao, which is really great. 3 Droll and Lockbird, you gotta respect the Drytron deck too. Then 3 Cosmic for back removal, and then 3 Evenly for more back row removal. Because this deck struggles against control, and Evenly and Cosmic do a great job at, you know, trying to beat those decks. So that's the side deck. You know, my go-to sides typically, or the cards that I side out, it really all depends on the matchup. Like if if I know I'm going to be going first, I'll probably side out Effect Veiler for something like Droll that is a little bit more useful, or something like Cosmic. If I really want to focus on being able to make a strong board, if like Veiler is going to get in the way, then I'll take it out for something maybe more impactful like Nibiru, I guess. And then you can also side out Monsterborn. I usually side out the Acellite, maybe 1 copy of Expedition, and maybe an Orbital, maybe a Soldier, but yeah, that's really about it. It's like these 3 cards here, and then any of your choice of hand traps, maybe an Impermer one. So you definitely have room to side a good amount of cards in here, but not a whole lot because the engine is just so big. And yeah, if you guys want to see more of my videos, check out the 2 popping up on the bottom of the screen right now. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And like always, a huge thanks to all of the YouTube members that support this channel. A special thanks goes to our Divine level channel members, and they are Cadillacs84 and Pony Stark. Thank you guys, as always, for your continued and extremely generous support of this channel.